10 futuristic American concept cars of the 1950s and 60s. Hello and welcome to our YouTube channel. In the 1950s and 60s, the idea of concept cars was still relatively new, but the 2 decades saw the birth of some legendary one-offs. Sure, the automotive industry has evolved tremendously, but some of the 50s and 60s American concept cars, like the 10 we're about to remember, are still fascinating today. Number 10. 1951 General Motors LeSabre. LeSabre came at the beginning of the decade, resembling a fighter jet. Harley J. Earl designed it with a jet-inspired 2-door convertible body. GM built the body with aluminum, magnesium, and fiberglass panels. Under the hood was an aluminum supercharged V8 engine. The engine ran on gasoline or methanol, producing 335 horsepower and 381 pound-feet of torque. This power was impressive considering the car's sheer size. The engine was connected to a 4-speed automatic transmission mounted to the rear for better weight distribution. Unfortunately, the acceleration and top speed information isn't clear. LeSabre became a unique concept car for the year with an innovative 12-volt system, unlike other cars with a 6-volt electrical system. Additionally, it featured built-in electric lifting jacks, electric concealed headlights, and a power top that could raise automatically with the help of a built-in water sensor. General Motors decided to keep LeSabre at the corporation's Heritage Center in Sterling Heights, Michigan. Number 9. 1953 Chevy Corvette EX52. The Chevy Corvette is one of the most influential American cars today. The nameplate has been famous since its introduction in 1953 as the C1 to the current generation C8. General Motors released the first ever Corvette concept at the 1953 Motorama Auto Show. The Corvette EX52 would later become an instant hit with the public through its class, elegance, and 30s and 40s inspired design features. The model revealed at the show was equipped with a 235 cubic inch inline-6 engine. It had an output of 150 horsepower and 223 pound-feet of torque. This massive engine was mated to a 2-speed automatic transmission, and power was directed to the rear wheels. Corvette EX52 would pull from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 11.5 seconds and attain a top speed of 105 miles per hour. The concept car was equipped with a panoramic windshield, which improved its appearance and practicality. GM also equipped it with circular tail lights at the end of its tail fins. Number 8. 1955 Lincoln Futura. While companies like Chevrolet were taking positions in the market with the Corvette nameplate, Ford Motor Company didn't lag behind. Ford produced a large, full-size concept car, the Lincoln Futura, a jaw-dropper for the year of 1955. Thanks to the designer Bill Schmidt, it was an excellent display of what Lincoln could achieve at the 1955 Chicago Auto Show. The car had very impressive tail fins, and hard edges were used throughout the car's design. An entirely panoramic double-dome canopy roof enhanced the overall beauty. The Futura was fitted with a 368 cubic inch OHV Y-block V8 engine, producing 300 horsepower and 402 pound-feet of torque. The engine was coupled to a 3-speed turbo-drive automatic gearbox, and power was directed to the rear wheels. Ford subsequently sold the Futura to custom car legend George Barris. George later transformed it into the Batmobile for the 1960s Batman television series. As the Batmobile, it became one of the most famous movie cars. Number 7. 1955 Ford La Tosca. Ford La Tosca was another 50s concept car heavily inspired by the jet age. After the production, the vehicle immediately joined the ranks of futuristic bubble-top designs like the Mystere and Lincoln Futura. As with the Lincoln Futura and the GM LeSabre, the La Tosca adhered to the traditional full-size philosophy that took over the US at the time. One of the main features that set the La Tosca apart was its unique fins. The fins gave it a distinct, wider appearance. Its roof had a canopy shape and was made of plexiglass. The backup lights were designed to resemble jet tubes, adding to its futuristic allure. Conversely, the headlights were retractable to enhance its futuristic appeal further. This made the La Tosca a true embodiment of jet age aesthetics. La Tosca had a remote-controlled chassis built by Tremulous and Romain Hammond. The two used Lincoln convertible top motors, a power window regulator, a power seat unit, power window relays, and a standard car battery to make the radio-controlled chassis move. Unsurprisingly, the concept car never drove on the road. It was simply created to showcase the potential of the industry's future. Number 6. 1956 Oldsmobile Golden Rocket. The Oldsmobile Golden Rocket was a 2-seater car built by Oldsmobile for the 1956 General Motors Motorama. It had a radically styled fiberglass concept that resembled a rocket on wheels. The Golden Rocket was also featured in the promotional short film Designed for Dreaming along with the rest of the 1956 General Motors lineup. The Oldsmobile Golden Rocket car was powered by an upgraded 324 cubic inch Rocket V8 engine. It had an output of 275 horsepower and was mated to a hydromatic transmission. The body was sleek and equipped with numerous aerodynamic features. There were bullet-shaped chrome pieces integrated into the front fenders in place of headlights. The Golden Rocket had a swept-back wraparound windshield, tail fins, and a split-window fastback roof design. Inside, the car had a leather upholstery finished in blue and gold. When a door was opened, the two-piece roof panel rose automatically. The seats were raised and swiveled outwards, enabling easier access to the passenger compartment. The car had pioneering innovations like a button-controlled tilt steering wheel. Its speedometer was placed at the center of the steering wheel. All controls around the cabin were inspired by an aircraft cockpit. The Golden Rocket is reportedly located somewhere in New Jersey. However, the rumor remains unconfirmed even after an extensive investigation. Are you ready for the top 5 futuristic concepts of the 1950s and 60s? Be sure to like and subscribe for more automotive content like this. Okay, back to the list. Number 5. 1956 GM Firebird II. General Motors made the second concept car, the Firebird II of 1956, after the Firebird I. It was designed as a 4-seat family car. Firebird II had a low and wide design with 2 large air intakes at the front. Other features that set it apart were the high bubble canopy top and a vertical tail fin. The body was made of titanium, as strong as steel but 45% lighter. Under the hood was a 200 horsepower engine in the form of a regenerative gas turbine. The gas turbine could operate at 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit cooler with the help of a regenerative system to feed the exhaust. This car could use different types of fuel, the most common being kerosene. The Firebird II concept car was the first in General Motors to use disc brakes on all 4 wheels. It had a fully independent suspension and featured a non-operational guidance system to help guide other cars to avoid a collision. The Firebird also had an alternator, magnetic ignition key, electric gear selection, and individually controlled air conditioning. Number 4. 1957 Ford Nucleon. The Ford Nucleon was a concept car developed by Ford in 1957. It was designed as a future nuclear-powered car with one of the excellent designs in the 50s. Ford Nucleon was to use a small nuclear reactor in the rear as an engine. The small engine would be powered by uranium fission, similar to those found in nuclear submarines. However, nuclear technology was relatively new at the time of its unveiling. It was a time when the government had planned to make nuclear fission technology compact and affordable, such that nuclear fuel would become the primary energy source in the U.S. Ford claimed that if the idea worked, gas stations would be replaced with full-serving recharging stations. Ford Nucleon would drive 5,000 miles before the reactor would have to be exchanged for a new one. Ford's initial idea for the 1957 Nucleon was to stretch it 16.7 feet long and 6.5 feet wide, but only 3.5 feet high. The idea was to make Nucleon slightly shorter in height than the most recent road-legal Ford GT. Since plans didn't work, the car was taken to the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan for viewing. Number 3. 1961 Chrysler Turboflite. The Turboflite concept was penned by Virgil Exner, Chrysler's head of design. It was styled under his forward-look style, using the 63 aerodynamics knowledge. The design ideas were heavily borrowed from the world of aviation with fins galore. It was meant to be futuristic, and truly it became a more conservative design. The Turboflite was built for Chrysler by Ghia in Turin. The Turboflite's roof was a distinctive glass bubble canopy that automatically raised when you opened either of the doors, lifting the windscreen and side windows with it. Conventional doors ensured access to the rear seats. The rear windows couldn't be used, but Chrysler mounted side ones on the roof for the rear passengers to breathe fresh air. The car's interior mimicked the aircraft theme with aluminum accented seats, huge throttle and brake pedals. It also had an instrument panel with a series of plane-style dials. The front end of the Turboflite was slimmed down to cut drag, so the outer headlights tucked underneath the outboard wings when not used. Its rear wings served a functional purpose for braking. The C2A turbine engine powered the Turboflite, transferring power to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Number 2. The 1963 Chrysler Turbine Car. The Chrysler Turbine was a 2-door hardtop coupe powered by a turbine engine that was manufactured by Chrysler. The car was powered by an A831, Chrysler's 4th-generation turbine engine. It had twin generators mounted on each side of the gasifier instead of a single-top, cover-mounted heat exchanger. This engine produced 130 horsepower and 425 pound-feet of torque. The engine power was transferred to a 2-speed Flite automatic transmission. Power was directed to the rear wheels, and the car would achieve a speed of 60 miles per hour in 12 seconds. The Chrysler Turbine Car had a top speed of 141 miles per hour. The Turbine Car was styled in the Chrysler studios under the direction of Elwood Angle. Due to its resemblance to the Angle-designed Ford Thunderbird, the car was called the Anglebird. The body was handmade by Italian designer Ghia before being shipped to Chrysler's Greenfield Road Turbine Factory in Detroit for final assembly. The bodies were finished in a metallic root beer-colored paint known as turbine bronze. Chrysler turbine headlights, deeply recessed tail lights, turn signals, and pod-shaped backup lights are mounted in chrome bezels. Inside the car was made of bronze-colored leather upholstery, deep pile bronze carpet, and brushed aluminum accents. The cars have black vinyl-covered hardtop roofs, leather-upholstered bucket seats for front and rear passengers, and white-walled tires. The dashboard was dominated by 3 large gauges, a speedometer, a tachometer, and a pyrometer. The latter monitored the temperature of the turbine inlet. All the cars had identical ignition keys. Number 1. 1963 Ford Seattleite XXI. The 1963 Ford Seattleite XXI debuted at the 1962 World Fair in New York and later became one of the most impactful concept cars of the 60s. Its design resembled the concepts of the 50s, with its incredibly long wheelbase and spaces for 4 front wheels. The rear bumper featured an inward triangular design with 4 large exhaust pipes from its nuclear fuel cell power units closely resembling jet engines. Seattleite XXI also had a travel programming computer. Which of these 1950s and 60s concept cars is your favorite? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to our channel if you've enjoyed this video.